Perfectionism is the enemy. A lot of the work of Amplify RJ is built around restorative justice as an opposition to white supremacy culture. You can go back and listen to my conversations with Tema Oken. I think there are two in this podcast feed. Or, of course, you can go and seek out our intro to RJ courses to get a more in-depth breakdown. But one of the characteristics of white supremacy that she talks about is perfectionism. And as someone who is the son of two high achieving people, one of them being a teacher, also being a second generation American, the ideas of high achievement and getting things right have always been important to me. In many aspects of my life, I've been able to shift from perfection to excellence and doing your best. But when it comes to work about restorative justice that I've seen get misinterpreted and corrupted and malpracticed so many times, I get really cautious about how I'm messaging things and how people will receive things. And I need to reconcile with the reality that no matter how I articulate things, even with the best intentions, there's always going to be room for that misinterpretation or the misuse and that mispractice. And in order to actually put something out there and not be paralyzed in the over-analysis of like, oh, but it's going to fall short this way, or this person, this specific audience isn't going to click with this specific framing, it's just going to prevent me from doing the work. And it has so many times over the last year. I get somewhere between 30 and 70% of the way through creating a thing and then get tripped up by the what about these other perspectives that people might have, and then never put the thing out, never make the offering. Even as somebody who has the mindset, the skills, the ability to have the conversations to clarify, I still don't want to cause the conflict harm that comes from misinterpretation in the first place. There's also a piece of it that I think isn't necessarily perfectionism, but is comparing myself to the work of others that prevents me from doing this work or putting out work where I don't think that what I have is good enough or will be as effective, or will contribute more to. And that's just something that both as someone who is in some ways a professional content creator and somebody who just in day-to-day life is using their voice, I need to get over. It might be strange for you as someone who may or may not have listened to hundreds of hours of me talking or consuming content that I've written at this point, but I'm actually a person of relatively few words and I try to choose them carefully. And I'm not saying all of that is due to perfectionism. Part of it is also me not thinking that what I have to say will be accepted, seen as valuable, or even thinking that I might be laughed at or dismissed. And that's scary. But in order to do this work, to further amplify restorative justice, and in my personal life, advocate, share for myself and be vulnerable myself, get the things that I want, I just need to put it out there and live with the results. Even as I'm saying this, I'm thinking about all the ways that this might be misinterpreted as no standard of excellence, don't be precise with your language, or whatever you produce is fine and everybody should appreciate it for what it is. And that's 100% not what I'm saying. But I do think I'm somebody who so wants to get things right. But I think in my efforts to want to get things right, it's prevented me from doing some good, right? So maybe another way that people have framed this is like, don't let perfect be the enemy of good, right? And I think that's what I'm saying. I think this lesson can be taken and applied to so many aspects of your life. But when it comes to restorative justice, you, the listener, in your personal relationships or in work context or wherever you think about utilizing this work, these frameworks, this way of being, you might feel that you don't have exactly the right words to say to invite people into this work. Part of it might be that you need to do a little bit more education for yourself to be more confident in initiating restorative processes or having tough conversations or starting community building moments, asking for circles, etc. But there's a limit to how much knowledge there's a limit to how much learning by watching a video course, or sitting in circle as a participant or participating in trainings as a learner will take you, right? You actually just need to go out and do it, practice, and it will not be perfect. There will probably be some sort of harm, misunderstanding. And the goal of this work is not for everything to be sunshine, rainbows, and unicorns all the time, right? It's to build, strengthen, and repair relationships. It's not a journey without its stumbles and pitfalls, but if you never start, you'll never get to where you want to go. So whether it's with restorative justice or something else in your life, my question to you is, how is perfectionism getting in the way of you achieving your goals?